President Xi is meeting with the French President Emmanuel Macron, and Macron has some very positive statements so far. He said Chinese path to modernization is much admired by the French. He opposes Cold War style power politics, camps dividing the world, and he talked about strategic autonomy of France. What exactly does that mean for the future of China-France relations?
Well, first of all, I think France is a very important country as far as China is concerned. We are both permanent member states of the United Nations Security Council. Both China and France are in possession of nuclear weapons, and traditional friendship between France and China date back to many, many decades ago, if not even a couple of centuries ago. Therefore, I think immediately after Chancellor Scholz's visit to China, this round of meeting between Chinese President and French President in Bali will be very, very important, because I don't think the French business community want to be left out of all the fun and excitement in the China market, and they really want to seize the moment to not only develop the business relations, but also people-to-people relations. Yesterday, I attended a Francophone meeting involving all the French-speaking countries in the world, for example, and we talked about how China and the French-speaking countries can really beef up their exchanges and understanding, for example. And this will be very important, especially in the digital economy, because the French language itself is, relatively speaking now, smaller than the English-speaking language and smaller than the Chinese language community. So how to make sure that the French language itself and the data generated in the French language will also be a very much important part of the digital economy to come.
Yeah, speaking of which, Alliance Française, a major French language and cultural institution, is just 5 blocks away from us, and right downstairs where you live, Einar. I mean, talking about strategic autonomy, how much strategic autonomy do you think there will be in reality? How much would France deviate from NATO, from Washington's China policy or China posture?
Well, I think there are some cracks. If you look at EU, it's divided north, south, east, and west. I mean, there's more disunity than unity. But there's also this growing realization that what happened with the Ukraine war has, in essence, made Europe, at least for the next few years, a place where you cannot manufacture competitively. You're seeing this in Germany. They don't even know if they'll have, even if they paid for it, they won't know if they can get the energy that they need, because obviously they're going to prioritize human life over factories. So you're seeing an exodus of larger companies who can, finding other markets where they can produce, because it's their lifeblood. If they don't have them, I mean, saying that, yeah, we have to fire people in Germany, yes, and France, yes, understood. Now, Germany and France are not the same in relation to China. Germany has a much bigger economic footprint here in terms of exports than France does, but France is in this market, and it is very vital. The big issue, though, that I have with this is that you hear these leaders talking about what China should do. China should do this. You should solve Ukraine. You should solve DPRK. At the same time, they're very critical of China. But there's no message like what Xi was saying. It says, how do we form institutions, entities that can create some sort of agreement? How do we come to those agreements? It always seems to be this kind of post-colonial idea that we should lecture you, and you should just measure up to what we think the standards are. This is not going to work in a world which is increasingly divided between the global developed north and the developing south.